Hi y'all! I have moved past depression and into full F it mode, and I took a decongestant this morning, a Zyrtec D, and so I just feel really weird. So I've been talking pretty recently about like a whole new echelon of seasonal depression that I have been experiencing because I moved to, New Jersey not that long ago. This one has been specifically difficult for me, and I have been kind of, hemming and hawing about what I'm gonna film next. And this confluence of events happened. One, I went on my Instagram and I was like, help, please tell me like what you want me to film. And then a lot of people said like makeup that you can still use when you literally have no imagination because you're just depressed and out of ideas. Because that's how I described the Charlotte Tilbury matte blush ones. I was like, this is like, especially the Pillow Talk shade is like when you're going, I don't know what the makeup with my face. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, the blush is done and it looks great. Like, I didn't have to think too hard about it. It's when you're like, I don't know. And then the other part of it was like, as I said that, as I like released that video, Hannah, my friend, Hannah Louise posted a video where she was like, when you feel like total garbage. And I feel like, we're kind of in the same headspace. And so I just saw that as an opportunity to make a video like this where I get on camera as my current self, okay? Like, I know I'm usually pretty like present personality wise, but like I wore this last night and then I got up this morning and I put it back on, okay? Instead of trying to pull myself together before I get on camera, I'm just gonna pull myself together with you. Pull yourself together with me. And I went on my Instagram and I asked y'all for some thought-provoking questions as we put on this face of makeup. What did I do with my phone? The world may never know. But yeah, this is gonna be just kind of a walkthrough of like mindless makeup for when you are depressed, but makeup's gonna make you feel better, What can I say, y'all? I'm out here for your mental health today. And I'm gonna go through these questions because some of them have already come in and they are absolutely hilarious. So let's go ahead and jump in. When you the princess. Princess depressed. Yes, I am. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if people think that like, this is some kind of live journal aesthetic thing where I'm just like, I'm depressed, like, no, dude, like when you're almost 36 years old and you spent your whole life doing the like anxiety depression cycle, like you just learn how to talk about it. You just like learn how to like just refer to your monster like they're right there, because they are, Okay, there's no Illuminati. I love monsters. The first thing I'm gonna put on my face is the #1 easiest thing to put on my face, and it's not even the Chanel Sublimage Le Temps. I know, because for that I have to pull out a brush, okay? And it's a lovely cooling feeling, and every single time I use it I'm like, wow, I'm really glad I spent a fortune on this, truth be told, but this is really the one, okay? Like, you put on MAC Studio Radiance Face and Body, and like you just spread it on your face and you're just like, that was easy. Oh, what's on my face right now is actually my Bloom Effect. So I'm wearing the Bloom Effect, just, it's like a gel cream, and then the sunscreen that I'm obsessed with. So yeah, we're gonna put this on. This is just one of those like hide a world of sins kind of products. And little bonus, it's a slightly too deep shade, which means that, I'm gonna look a little bit healthier. That's what's kind of funny is I realized that I don't have to darken my Chanel Sublimage anymore because I'm just that pale. Like, I'm so pale. I used to never get a tan. Now I like really like my pale skin, but like I tend to still surprise myself with exactly how pale I get in the winter. What do I have stuck in my head? I know that's what you were asking, right? Trash Truck. I have the Trash Truck theme song stuck in my head. Okay, let's open a question here because I really think that a lot of people are kind of cosmically in the same headspace as me. We're just having a rough time, okay, up here in like the Northeast of the United States where it just won't stop doing this like gray thing. Jess Loves Stuff asks a really great question to kick us off. Do you think laziness as a concept is a real thing? So, I can only speak from my own perspective. I haven't really binged on a lot of those kinds of like videos and stuff because I've definitely seen people unpack that. Who was talking about it? Tiffany Ferg was talking about it. It's definitely like a philosophical topic that I'll be honest, like I haven't done that much digging into because I kind of don't want to know the real philosophical answer. I'm gonna bet it's like no, that it doesn't really exist, you know, like somebody can kind of disprove it. Where is my daggum kosas? There it is. Yeah, we're gonna do some kind of aggressive concealing. I think I'm like PMSing, I'm not sure, but yeah, this is a worse breakout than I've had in a while. And it's just like, it won't die. Like it won't go away. And so I've actually started skin cycling a little bit in the casual way that I approach everything, really. And so I'm giving my skin like a break from actives because I feel like all it does is kind of dry it out. And then it like pisses it off more for some reason, so. Oh, another video that is probably gonna be the next one that I do. I want to talk about Beauty Counter again because they have come up again on all of our radars in the form of being carried at Ulta. I'm not gonna go into it right now, but like we learn nothing. As far as laziness is concerned, here's the kind of catch-22 that I get caught in. And I've been articulating this since I probably was like aware of productivity as a necessity for life. So, you know, I started actually like working a professional job at 18 when I became a hairstylist. I went to hair school while I was in high school so that I could get my license when I graduated. And so I was, you know, self-employed, working almost full time all the way through college, you know, doing an art degree as well. And so I started to really understand like what happens when the wheels fall off. And like that was when I found my beloved Dayquil, was because like there was no such thing as a day off. Not to mention everybody I was around partied a lot, and so did I. And so it's just like, you know, burning the candle at both ends at all times. And so I have kind of always known that what I was doing when I did that was like running from a certain part of myself, right? And that it's not even so much that I fear laziness as it is that like when I stop and I lose momentum, which, you know, the breakneck pace of my productivity as an Aries who is self-employed and who like just has no chill, like it's just my personality, I have no chill. When I do slow down, when I do lose momentum, the first thing that finds me is the depression monster. And it's just so frustrating because I tend to get into cycles of, you know, losing weight or, you know, just kind of getting stuck in bed and things like that. And of course, when you're not eating, you're not getting enough like nutrition and energy. And so you feel really depleted already. Fortunately, I have more or less quit drinking. Like the only time I will have a drink is if I'm like out to lunch with like, you know, family or something like that. I don't drink at home anymore. I don't buy wine anymore. It was just really running me down, but I still feel like there's no kind of mechanical answer to that for me. It is always about kind of like the thing that I hate, which is shoving myself off the cliff every morning, you know, like waking up and going, all right, we just have to like do the kickstart that like turns the engine over and then we'll be okay. But like sometimes it's just not the case. I have to like turn the engine over multiple times a day. That's how it definitely felt when I was pregnant. I was just like, I got nothing in the tank. I can't kick it into another gear. And so I'm not sure that laziness as a concept exists as much as the threat of my anxiety and my depression finding me is what keeps me in motion. And it is what kind of facilitates this toxic productivity addiction. That and being self-employed means you only make money when you work. And you only make money when you work cleverly. You know, like you make more money when you're more clever about like your creativity and stuff like that. Like, you know, more creative video concepts or more creative approaches to like short form content, things like that. Like things people aren't doing, making a difference where someone's going to click on your video versus another video and stay tuned and things like that. It's like having all cylinders firing, right? In terms of your motivation and your creativity and your confidence makes such a huge difference in your ability to make money. You can't just quiet quit when you're self-employed. If you watch my vlogs, you've seen I get these like bursts of energy and then I go, and I just like run myself out because I'm afraid of like it, you know, how long it's gonna last or how short it's going to be really. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of my take on it. We all, as you know, millennials have the generational Neptune and Capricorn, which means that we tie our self-worth to our productivity. It's like kind of something that I don't even, you know, it's like installed in my brain like Catholic prayers at this point, but it's just something that I am constantly toiling with. And I've not found a solution for it yet because, you know, we live in a society You can't deny that in a capitalist system, there's always going to be implicit and explicit bias towards being a productive member of society. So it's self-perpetuating in the sense that we've internalized it because money helps us get the things we want. I think my cat is in a tree. Yeah, so it's kind of hard to disentangle the motivation behind it. Like come toe to toe with it and go like, oh, okay, like where did I get this idea from? Like where did these concepts, like what was the inception of it in my brain? It's like, girl, it's everywhere. It's got its fingers in every pie at this point. It's just so hard. It's so hard. We're gonna go with blush now. Yeah, I am gonna use the Pillow Talk Matte Beauty Blush one. Actually, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in with bronzer. This is going to be the answer today because the Sunbeam Cheek and Eye Shade from Chantecaille, it actually does what it aims to do in the sense of, I feel like the dream, right, when you invest this much in a stupid little compact of product, is you're like, this is gonna make me a minimalist, you know? Like, I'm gonna become that person who can throw away all my makeup and just work out of this cute little compact, and then I'll finish it, and then I'll buy something else, you know what I mean? And just like be like a normal beauty consumer. I don't know if that's normal, but it's not how I do things. And so like when I use this, I'm always like, wait a second, it actually does. It's like one of the only things in my collection that like expectation met reality, where I'm like, this does everything that I actually expected it to do. It's a fantastic bronzer and we're gonna use it on my eyes. After that, we'll go in with the Pillow Talk. I'm using this big, fluffy, stupid brush. You know, Hobus Tom made an entire video which made me laugh so hard about the BK 105. I told Tom, I was like, we need more internet content of your real-time stream of consciousness because it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Their mind is, I'll just say this. After talking to Tom as much as I have, and we voice memo each other, which is just so much fun because like, instead of typing LOL, like Tom will just send you an audio of them cackling, laughing at something, and it's so gratifying. You're like, I made them laugh, oh my gosh. And what I can say is, and I told Tom this, one, we would definitely have been friends in high school. And two, we are only seeing a fraction of what the hot mess of Tom has to offer here on the internet. We need to facilitate, encourage, and enable Tom, okay? Because the more time, energy, and money that Tom has to put towards their channel and their content, the better off we're all going to be, okay? That was my public service announcement. I'm not gonna be using this today because you're not supposed to use it for powder, Tom. At least in my opinion. I did want to mention that. Oh, inky dangy. Anyway. Oh, Nicolette, wait, what the what? I think I'm gonna go in the city and hang out with Ingrid and meet Nicolette for the first time. It's already a good day. It's already a good day. Okay, anyway, let's put on some bronzer and take another question. Why make art? Asking for a me. I love when people use English like that. Except for the stupid, what is it? Is it Bayer? The commercials where they're like, this is why we science. I'm like, no. No, 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 no. Like, Gen Z is gonna show up in your comments and be like, hey, bestie. No. Hey, bestie is like the biggest freaking like intergenerational, cross-generational microaggression of all time. Like when someone shows up in my comments and they're like, hey bestie, I'm like, this is not gonna be a good comment. Okay, anyway. Putting on my chicken eye shade. And right, so why make art? You know, I'm gonna take this as an opportunity to get really sanctimonious. We make art because right now they're trying to just absolutely let robots do everything. I hate AI art. My brain does not like that uncanny valley. I tried it and I found it fascinating. My friend Elliot actually got early access to the full version of the, I don't know, the thing that makes the AI art. So when he and his wife and it was my good friend Hallie and their kids were all visiting us last year, we were just having a fun time making like, you know, Marlboro French fries. Like, you know what I mean? Just, and it was all in like high res. It was incredible. But it does really lick the red off your candy, you know, because you're just like, I don't like kind of scrolling through art accounts because I do that. And they get served to me a lot on my Discover page. And then I click through and I'm like, it's AI art. Like I understand that people are using Midjourney and so they're like kind of making stuff that looks like AI art, and it is, but it's more manipulated, like it's actually with more of like a, I don't know, an artistic hand, if you will. Nonetheless, we make art, analog art, because it has a life force in it, okay? Like, I'll never forget, I sent my first large piece off last year, and when the buyer received it, she goes, "It smells so good. It smells like the, you know, the wood and the canvas and the paint. Like, it just has this, like, I am aware of what went into this kind of, you know, full sensory experience." And I was like, I always say that, full sensory, don't lick the art. But unless you're my child, he like showed up at the bottom of the stairs the other day with just like oil paint, like orange oil paint all over his face. And he was just like, and I was like, okay, well, this one is now by me and Simon. But it has always been a rebellious act to create something that does not have an innate purpose. I mean, obviously people love to buy art, that's great, but from a gratification standpoint and like being a person who makes art, the ability to make art, I feel like hinges, or good art, hinges entirely on not optimizing your process and on doing things that are challenging to you as an artist and not systematizing it. And that goes against everything that they want to drill into our brains about like how to be a success in a capitalist society. I'm not anti-capitalist. It's just kind of the reality that we live in, you know? It's like this double-edged sword. I don't think that there is like necessarily a system, and I'm not an economist, but like, you know, that there's a system that I think is like a better and ideal and would solve everything kind of thing. Like, do I think that we should have universal healthcare? Absolutely. I'm not gonna go into all this, but the thing is, I think that like capitalism wants us to do things that are productive and that make money and that monetize the things that we are excellent at, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But I do believe in making art for the sake of it not being that. And almost like I said, as a rebellion, as a protest. And especially now as computers are trying to do it for us. I realized, like, in the context of a lot of my friends who, I feel like I'm like that age now where people are, you know, my age, have been like doctors for a while, you know, or like, I don't know, they've all had like these really cool illustrious careers. You know, one of my friends from high school is now representative. I think he's a state representative. And then, you know, another girl I went to high school with is like on the Biden administration, you know? And then I look at my life and I'm like watching my teenage dirtbag TikTok and I'm like, I guess I could call myself like a liberal arts success story. Nonetheless, let's put on some blush. And we'll take another question. So yeah, this is the Pillow Talk blush from Charlotte Tilbury. I don't know why I needed to like read that. Yeah, it's the matte blush wand because this is like literally the easiest way to put on, it's the easiest way to put on blush. I'm going to go ahead and pull the brush that I use for this as well, which is the 112. It's so cute. It's so cute from BK. It does a really good job of spreading this product out. Do you appreciate unsolicited feedback on videos or would you rather just ask us for it? I mean, I've come to the point in my career where like, I understand that people have feelings and it's kind of, I don't know. Do you mean advice on like what I'm, like the actual subject matter of what I'm talking about in that video? Or are you talking about like the person who's like, respectfully, I don't like your thumbnails lately. And I'm just like, respectfully, I'm super depressed and this is all I can summon right now. Okay, it is what it is. And honestly, like I'm gonna trust analytics and people clicking on things more than I trust one person's opinion, even if it gets upvoted by 46 people. Nonetheless, if I'm talking about something that has been going on for like years and years, right? I'm used to getting advice on it, like, you know, digestive issues or something. I do tend to kind of refrain from talking about things that I would be too sensitive to get advice on. Like I am tuned in enough to my own feelings, like to know when I'm broaching a topic that I don't want someone else's like advice on. My camera cut me off. I think what I was trying to say is just that I have been doing this long enough that I know when a topic is going to invite commentary or advice that I'm not prepared to hear or like, you know, dig too deep on. And so I refrain from talking about those things. So most of the time, like I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good at like letting stuff go. The only thing that's like hard for me sometimes is like that one where it kind of hit home. Like they were being really polite about like not liking my thumbnails. I like that kind of commentary. I'm just like, yeah, I get what you're saying, and I get that you're trying to be polite, but like, I'm super depressed, and like, this is kind of all I can do right now. Hannah, not Hannah Louise Poston, simply Hannah Joe, a viewer of mine who I talk to regularly, asks such a fantastic question. Does the fact that the universe is infinite and ever expanding scare the shit out of you too? Let's do some eyeshadow while we talk about that. So I am gonna use the cheek and eye shade. All this is gonna get toned down quite a bit as like, everything comes together, and also I haven't powdered yet. The best thing about the cheek and eye shade is, like I said, you can just kind of smack it all over everywhere. So I'm just gonna use one of my like fluffier brushes here, my 202, and smack that all over the place. And then we're gonna go in with new Phytosurgeon's eyeshadow on top in the shade Astral Atmosphere. I was kind of inspired to do this because I swatched them next to each other in that last video, and I was like, I'm gonna put those on my eyes. And so that's what we're doing, because they're very similar, they're just like different in finish. So, I think a lot about the universe, okay, because I'm really deep. No, it's because I have a kid and he's learning about everything for the first time right now. And so he's really interested in like the sun and the moon and the stars, you know, and he just like wants to know about everything. And it makes you start thinking really hard about what you already kind of took for granted. Because like my kid is obsessed with the moon. He has like this light up planet that he calls his moon. And then, you know, before daylight savings, or I guess during daylight, no, we're in daylight savings. Yeah, that's the weird part. So before daylight savings, you know, when I was picking him up from school, we would always look for the moon, and he'd be like, where's a moon? Where's a moon? And I'm like, oh, you know, it's behind the clouds. He's like, oh, he's sleeping. Like, it's so cute. But yeah, there are times where I look up at the moon and I'm like, I call shenanigans. What the hell is that? I think way too much about how the moon's probably not real. Which, like, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not like, oh, this is, we're all living in the Truman Show, but I do have these concepts sometimes where, you know, I'm like reading about stuff and I'm like, okay, so the planets orbit around this, and then we see this, and then there's no life on other planets that we've discovered yet, and this is all just a little too convenient, isn't it? I like look around me at like things like cell phones and snow plows and geese, you know, and I'm just like, this is all a little too convenient. But then, you know, my favorite pages in any of his like ocean books are the ones that are in the very, very deep sea, because the super deep sea is like the most fascinating thing in the world to me. It's, you know, it's as unknown as space, you know, or like we know more about space than we do about the like super deep sea, and I'm just like, oh hell yeah, there's just something so fantastic to me about that. Like anglerfish, terrifying, obsessed. The idea of a giant squid is like the coolest thing I can think of, you know, it's just like this monster. I don't know, it's just awesome. And so the idea that like those have really held over since prehistoric times because they're just completely undisturbed, like they are these weird phosphorescent dinosaurs, that's what keeps me going on like, well, I guess evolution happened. I guess the dinosaur bones are real. Like there's just something about all of it that like if you think too hard, it's kind of like when you read any word too many times, you're like, of. It's an O and an F? Why is that of? Which is like not a good thought process to be having during like rights upon request, but I did. The short answer to your question, the summary is, yes, Hannah, I think about it a lot, and I'm still really unsure about the moon. So I think that what I like about the cheek and eye shade on my eyes is just how like low pigment it is. It's kind of like working with a different texture of like a Hindash eyeshadow, the way that they just kind of softly build in thin layers instead of going kapow. And the fact that it's like what I already have on my cheeks, so it just kind of looks at home automatically. Now, not that one. I will use that one probably. This is Starlight Symphony. It's just a really good like inner corner. So the whole thing with these new ones from Phytosurgeons, Jason, I'm really sorry that like the collection name is escaping me at the moment, but they are actually more of like a glitter than some of their other eyeshadows in the past. The thing that he told me when Jason was like sending these to me, he was like, the glitter is a really specific kind of like shape or material or whatever, and I love the way that it looks, but it's really hard to photograph, like, and actually capture the essence of the glitter. And I was like, neat, cool, whatever. And then I tried to photograph it yesterday and I was like, where's the magic? You know, it's like you almost want to have, like, in order to really, you know, capture everything that it has, like you'd almost want to pull out your like iPhone camera or something, but it doesn't matter because like even just in person, gorgeous. It's just like the camera flattens them out for some reason. Maybe this one will be better. Yeah, you can see it on here a lot better. The phone camera flattens them out so much. It was incredibly frustrating because I was like, no, there's like textural differences between other stuff that I have on my eyes, and like I really want to capture like how beautiful and easy and saturated and multi-textural it is. It's just very pretty. And like the pictures that I took, I was like, I mean, it looks nice, but it's like so much better in person. And again, this is, if you didn't watch my last this or that video, the main appeal of this color is just that I have so much of this color in my collection because it's just something that looks so organic on my face. And so that's why I'm able to kind of pull multiple textures of it. And I encourage anyone to kind of, you know, look at your collection and see those kinds of shades where it's like, I have a lot of them in my collection. Why might that be? Because they might be your kind of like home shade, like this one is for me, which is just kind of like a muted rose kind of color, you know? It might have a tiny bit of peach in it because it's not super cool toned. These are a little bit warmer. And I think that like the peachness really helps because he did have Defiant Dahlia, and that one is a lot cooler toned. Even though the actual shimmer in here is champagne silver, it's not gold. And I'm gonna take a brush and put that under my eyes too. And you could do that with your finger if you wanted, because these wipe off really easily too. Like they do wear really well, but if you kind of make a mistake or get it someplace you don't want it, it wipes off. I like this existential pondering that we're kind of concentrating on in this video. Explain why I am the hottest and most upcoming YouTube star. That was from a Home-S Tom. Good news, Tom, I already did. Go-to food orders for when life is mean and cooking makes me contemplate my mortality. Okay, so I'm gonna let you in on a little life hack here. I once went to, this is so flipping random, y'all. Back when Topgolf first came out, I know, follow me on this, we are going somewhere. When Topgolf first came to Austin, when I was living there, they had a really amazing menu. And they've really simplified it down to bar food now that just kind of is like unappealing to me. But it used to be really, like you could go there, you could get a bucket of mini Prosecco's, the same way that you'd buy a bucket of PBRs, a bucket of mini Prosecco's at brunch. We called it the meat curtain. But it was literally a meat curtain. It was like this thing that like stood up and had a wire, and they would actually hang like a charcuterie board on top of it, and you just like, amazing. And they had this pizza there, okay? It was a cauliflower crust pizza, and it was just like a regular cheese and I want to say mushroom pizza, but then they would make this beautiful salad of like equal parts, not fully just like, you know, salad. It was like some arugula and then like cut up to like tiny tomatoes and a little bit of red onion and like this beautiful like balanced vinaigrette with a little bit of mustard in it, so it was like tangy. And they would put that over the hot pizza and bring it out to you, and it is divine. It's so incredible, and I don't think that they do it anymore because, yeah, they've like, you know, changed the menu. And I don't know what it is about me, there are just things that don't leave my memory, and like I do store a lot of the great meals that I've had like in my brain, especially if they kind of sparked surprise like that one did. I am gonna go in with Starlight Symphony here, and I'm gonna just, you know, inner corner and a little bit of brightness. But like, there's really nothing easier than these eyeshadows. You don't have to like futz with a brush if you don't want to. But when you're doing your grocery order or you're going to your grocery store, they have these actually incredibly delicious frozen cauliflower crust pizzas. I think they're by Cauli Power. You know, you stick it in the oven at 500 or whatever for a few minutes, and like sometimes again I'll put like mushrooms and stuff on top of it and let it all get kind of, you know, hot and bubbly. And while it's all cooking, I mix myself up this little, you know, gorgeous fresh vegetable salad with like some really nice tangy vinaigrette on it, dump it on top, and you've got this like full flavored meal that was so easy and better than any like pizza that you were gonna order. I don't know. That's one of my favorite little life hacks as far as misery meals, so that you don't feel miserable after the meal also. Easy squeezy. I don't know where Rattly Natalie ran off to, but I have a very similar one, and that is this Thrive. Oh my, this is so old that the writing has rubbed off of it, but it's the I think it's the blush brush, the second blush brush that they came out with. And I'm going to powder. Does anyone else have the driest ears in the world right now? Now granted, some snafu happened with my psoriasis medication last month and it just never came. I ordered it 3 times and it just never came. And so I'm a month off of my injection. And so the things that are freaking out are like the insides of my ears. I'm like, that's cruel and unusual, okay? That's TMI, sorry y'all. All right, I'm using the Kosas powder because it can do no wrong. It can do no wrong. The thing that makes this so easy besides the formulas and the textures and just like the simplicity of it is that it's all the same color. It's like we're embracing pink face. It's like selective pink face. Okay, brows, we're going to do something easy. And I'll tell you what has been really frustrating lately. I hate to say it because I don't want to like bag on a new brand, but I think all of this breakout that's happening, this is the main thing that I've been using is the Gen C. And it just, I don't know, it just kind of like loads up these pores. And I think it maybe just doesn't rinse clean. And so when I wash my face, it kind of like, you know, clogs the pores around here too. I think I'm gonna have to like lay off of it for a while and see if that helps. So instead, I'm going to go in with my authored brow gel because it's pretty much that same taupe color. It's not gonna look super severe and it's gonna do the job of, you know, a pencil and all that without having to be all tedious about it. Now I will say, when I am kind of feeling like a lump and I've gotten this far in my makeup routine, a lot of times I can summon the motivation to like pull out a pencil on my eyebrows because I'm like starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm like, oh, okay. All right, I'm looking like a human. I think I can give myself some eyebrows, you know? Someone asked me like what I do to my eyebrows. With the exception of kind of this area right here, this is what my eyebrows do. Like this is just kind of what they look like. And I have thought about zooming in really close on my kid's eyebrows and showing that to you, except that he never sits still enough. And because his eyebrows are exactly like mine. Have you ever considered moving out of the US and where? I think about it all the time! Sorry, headphones wearers. So I'm gonna do my eyeliner while I talk about this. And again, this is one of those things where it's like, I've hyped myself up enough that like I feel like I can give myself some eyeliner, but I'm also gonna be honest, like this is so easy. Like if we're gonna do an eyeliner, this is easier than a pencil, okay? I know, I'm a broken record about this. The sun's coming out, oh my God! Chanticleer! But yeah, the Hindash color fluid. It's so much more gratifying than the actual like amount of effort that goes into it. So yeah, there have been a few places that I have thought about and they're all in Europe. So well, actually that's not true. I would move to San Miguel de Allende, Mexico. Absolutely. If someone were to facilitate that, I would do it. I would expatriate. And you know who would come? My parents, because they also speak Spanish. And I say that like I speak Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. My parents used it to talk over my head my entire life. So thanks, Mom. Yeah, my mom lived in Popayan, Colombia for a portion of high school as like a study abroad program. And my stepdad lived in, and he used to own a travel agency. And so he traveled all over the place. He speaks Spanish because he lived in Mexico for a long time. But yeah, just very, very like interested in that kind of culture. And like when I went to San Miguel, I was like, oh yeah, no dude, this place, I can get down with this because it feels like this little European town tucked away in Mexico. Mexico's amazing. I know I'm not telling anybody anything, you know, there are plenty of people who live there who don't need to be told that Mexico's amazing. But I just think that like, you probably underestimate how many ecosystems and how many types of like cool like land and just, there's everything there. You could be driving, like my mom, Rachel, I just hard restarted. My mom said that she fell asleep in the car one time when my stepdad was driving. It's like they had like started out in like the desert or something, and when she woke up, I think they were going to Guadalajara, and she woke up and they were like in the mountains and she thought she was in North Carolina. You know, I love Mexico, but I've really thought about Italy. Obviously, like, you know, I love Amsterdam and I lived in Amsterdam. I visited Amsterdam. I'm going back to Amsterdam soon. Stay tuned. But my, you know, favorite cities list very much extended when I went to Florence. Like, it was just, I was like, oh no. Because I mean, you know, I studied a lot of art history and humanities in college, and so going there I was like, oh my god, and then Duomo, oh my god, and then the wine, and then you watch Stanley Tucci searching for Italy and you're just like, take me there. I don't want to live here anymore. They just have like so much figured out. And also, you know, I don't know. I don't want to get into like any political situation because like every country has some kind of like despot trying to, you know, rise in the ranks. No one is safe from fascism apparently, but I do feel like I can kind of like go like claim a tiny corner of Italy and like no one will bother me. That's how I feel about Amsterdam too. Freaking love Amsterdam. Oh yeah, the wing is winging. Also, I mean, of course, I'm like sitting here talking about like places I went, you know, on vacation. So they're going to be places I probably can't afford to live. You know, I was like in the south of France. I was like, this is tight. This is legit. I would stay here, you know, to just be able to like walk to the water, sit down and someone brings you an Aperol Spritz or like, you know, whatever you want, a coffee. Like it just, I like that life. And I love Europe's people watching lifestyle. How there's like cafes everywhere, chairs everywhere. And if the weather's nice, you just go plop down somewhere and somebody who is not getting paid in tips and who kind of, you know, is not super motivated to help you comes over and is like, you want something? And you're like, yeah, I'll have some wine at like 11 o'clock in the morning, you know? And just, these are habits that I don't have in America. Well, because our wine is, I have to stop myself. Oh, I don't want to get started on Monsanto. Anyway, the answer is yes. I think about it all the time. Especially like every time something like, you know, trans lives are being, well, I guess I don't really know where I would go for that level of safety, although Amsterdam is pretty progressive. You know, just this like dumb crap that's like trying to like deputize citizens against one another for, you know, anti-trans laws or anti-drag laws, which is anti-trans laws and anti-queer laws. That's what those are. Taking books out of children's libraries and things like that. Like, I don't know, dude. That makes me want to move to another planet, to be honest, and take all of my friends with me. I don't know, I kind of looked at my life and I was like morally, abstractly, of course, like queer and trans lives, happiness, joy, success, visibility, all is incredibly, incredibly valuable and enriching to our culture. But on a completely selfish level, I would be out of friends if they didn't exist, okay? I wouldn't have really hardly any friends, so that's also a good motivator. Okay, let's mascara. That wing actually went pretty well. Science and astrology, how do you reconcile the two? This feels loaded. This feels loaded. So here's the thing about astrology. It's kind of like that meme of Britney Spears where it's like, if I don't have my little treats, then what's the point? If I can't just sit there and like try and like divine the future out of a thing that's easy for my little dumb brain to understand, then like, what's the point? Like, I just think astrology is fun, and I think that it does tend to have a lot of parallels, like it does, like to personality tests and stuff like that, and it kind of just shakes out, you know? Like whenever I'm like applying and I'm like, oh, I find out that like Simbri isn't just a Taurus, she's a Taurus with a Virgo rising. That makes perfect sense to me. Do you know what I mean? And so, I don't know, I feel like astrology is not hurting anybody. Science, and I have absolutely no intention to like, you know, debunk or assault or discredit science. I think that they can coexist. And I think that if you read You Were Born for This by Chani Nicholas, she does a really good job of talking about how like astrology kind of is science. It's just kind of a growing science. Not in the same sense of like life-saving, you know, stem cell research and like microbiology, okay? Like, let's not get it twisted. But again, if I don't have my little treats, then what's the point? I can recognize that I'm silly. A cardinal! Oh my god, a red cardinal! Oh my god, a harbinger of spring! Oh my god! You guys are gonna make it! Oh, this video is important. It's important. It's all happening. Aries season is coming. This painting, I haven't posted it yet. This painting I just finished, it's called photosynthesis because it's the meaning of life for me right now. Kind of like what they say, you know, the alcohol industry is always gonna do well because people drink when they're happy and they drink when they're sad. Like, my paintings are always happy. And it's like, am I painting a happy thing because I'm happy, or am I painting a happy thing because I need to see happy? That's not true, they're not always happy. Sometimes I very much restrain myself, but it really is like it's a shrug. Oh yeah, go for that mascara. Go for it. Connect 4. I do feel like I need some more brows. So I'm gonna use the Make blade line because I'm coming out of my cage and I'd be feeling just fine. What would you do if you weren't doing YouTube? Very good question, my friend. I would, oh, that's an owl. There's an owl. Ooh, ooh. It's like on the very, and these are all too far away for me to film for y'all. And I have a screen on the window, and so it just like the phone, it freaks out. But there's an owl up on the very edge of a branch that's blowing in the wind, and that owl's going, hey, whoa. Oh my God, he's so cute. I don't know if I've ever seen an owl here. Cute. All right, so I'm using the blade line. It's just, I'm like, finding the motivation here. If I wasn't doing YouTube. All right, so I mean, this is kind of a bleak answer because I would be really unhappy probably. Because, you know, I always say that there is an ideal company size where every employee is at their most effective. And for me, it's one. So I'd probably have figured out by now that self-employment was the answer in some respect. I probably would have stuck with paid search with SEM, but become some kind of consultant or something. That is the most boring answer. I am so sorry. That is just not juicy at all. But I mean, that was what I did in order to even transition to doing YouTube full-time was, you know, I was able to contract with my previous company because of some very fantastic people who were, you know, very accommodating. And also the fact that like, it was definitely a job applicants market. Let's just say unemployment was kind of at an all-time low. And so me being in the field that I was in, my company didn't want to lose me. They kind of would like take any amount of work I was willing to give them. I just found that like that was I was more effective at my job when I did it on a schedule that not only was more like accommodating to just like my mental health, being like, I can take a lunch and not feel like I'm working against someone's clock or like, you know, goofing off on company time or something. But also I felt like I was getting paid for the work I was doing instead of getting paid to sit there and look busy, which is my nightmare. The weird psychology of having to sit there and pretend that something was like taking me longer than it was or something. That was just, I don't know, it just always felt like such a waste of time to me and being stuck inside all the time. Just being able to like work in different environments and get sunshine and things like that and not have to get up always at the same time every day and stuff, it just made such a huge difference in my mental health. So I think that that's something that I would have arrived at somehow regardless, you know, as some kind of self-employment. I'm sorry, I keep trying to cover this up because it itches. Anybody else turn just hot red as soon as anything itches? Yeah, that's gonna be like that for hours. All right, and then the last thing here, we're just gonna do a little bit of lip gloss. And this is the Ami Collet. I will say, a lip gloss is integral to my mental health. Oh my God, khaki. No, it's like integral to a face of makeup that I want to feel really confident in, I guess, because it's like as soon as my lips, I've said this, you know, years ago, I'm not sure that time is just such a strange phenomenon, but I used to always say like a dewy lip makes the rest of you look dewy by association. And it's like as soon as I put on a lip gloss versus like a matte lip or something, I feel like everything else looks healthier. So this Ami Collet brown is just so awesome. And again, we're just staying in very safe territory here color-wise. That's gonna definitely help if you are trying to slap a face of makeup on and you know you're going to feel very resistant to the process until maybe halfway through, you know, where you might summon the motivation to like actually put on eyeliner. The main thing for me is just, you know, having the other parts of the routine that come first be that intuitive, like that mindless as that foundation, the MAC foundation, or as that blush, or as the, you know, the Chantecaille bronzer. This is, I always say this, you know, if anybody's coming to my channel, this is your first time watching one of my videos and you're like, oh, she must love Chantecaille. I have really grown weary of Chantecaille because they got bought, and I feel like, you know, the general consensus in my comments has been that their creativity and their ability to kind of like dial in their capsule releases has been patchy at best. Since then, this is what I call a broken clock being right twice a day. They just nailed this, and it kind of feels like they did it by accident because it's just a really, really good product. But like in the grand scheme of money that I have spent at Chantecaille to get one good thing, I mean, you're talking, this thing probably costs $500 in terms of like my investment versus what I actually use. And that's why I do this as my job, so that you literally don't have to. Hey, oh, now she just needs a little bit of dry shampoo and we will be off to the races. We have make-upped our way to good. And now we're gonna dry shampoo our way to great. This is almost empty. We're gonna have a new empties soon, but unsurprising on these. I already have backups. I washed my hair last night and I blew it out. My hair looks so greasy. Oh, I'm just so glad that y'all wanted me to do this video because I feel so much better. I feel so much better. I feel like I can like go do the day now. All right, and then this is a little bit of my dry texture spray from Ube. And, oh, yep, she's on empty. What is my part doing? What is it doing? There's an account I follow. The person was talking about how they have really, really long hair and that this brush like changed their life. And I was like, hey, hear me out. When I was pregnant, I used to sleep with this thing in the bed. Because you're so itchy, your skin is so dry, and then you'll wake up in the middle, it'll like literally wake you up in the middle of the night that you're so freaking itchy. I remember pulling this thing out in the middle of the night, just like pulling it out from the sheets and being like, because it's just so amazing. It's just one of those like wet brushes, but they're, oh my God, this is like the most satisfying thing to scratch with. Okay, yeah, okay, let's do a little bit of Tula here. Et voila! I feel like we've accomplished something that, you know, I'm gonna get those comments from people being like, this looks like every makeup like you do. I have the same face every day, okay? Like, I love people, like, some people were commenting on my Indie Sleeves video, they're like, that doesn't look like anything different than you ever do. I'm like, I have the same face every day and I make a makeup video 3 times a week. They're gonna start to look the same, okay? Did you want me to like write something on my forehead? Ha ha ha, context collapse. Anyway, yeah, y'all, I wanna thank you for submitting such good, thought-provoking jumping off points because I feel like a freaking human being right now. I think I'm gonna edit this video and put it up today. Like, that's how good I'm feeling right now. So, I love y'all so much, and I will stick a video right here that I think you're gonna like, and I wanna thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.